Yesterday in our devotion, we were looking at Psalms 116, and the psalmist asked the question, what shall I render to the Lord for all of his benefits toward me? In other words, as I look at my life and I look back over my life and I see all of God's blessing in my life and how God that has blessed me, what can I give back to the Lord for what he has done for me? And we read yesterday that we'll take the cup of salvation, and it's talking about worshiping and praising and thanking the Lord for what he's done for us. But there's another passage that he gives another explanation of what we need to do. Now, notice this. It's kind of interesting because when you look at Psalms 116 down to verse 14, it says, I will pay my vows to the Lord in the presence of all his people. Then he gets down to verse 16, O Lord, I am your servant, the son of your maidservant. You have loosed my bonds. I will offer to you the sacrifice of thanksgiving. I will call upon the name of the Lord. I will pay my vows to the Lord in the presence of all his people, in the courts of the house of the Lord, in your midst, O Jerusalem. Now, that word vow means a voluntary promise. It means a voluntary promise. In other words, I promised the Lord that I was going to do something, and he says, I will do it. In other words, how can I give back to the Lord for all of those blessings in my life? Then what I promised him, the voluntary promises that I made to the Lord, I will keep those promises. That's like over in Romans chapter 12, verse 1. It says, I beseech you therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that you present your bodies a living sacrifice, wholly acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service. In other words, when I see all of God's blessing, the most reasonable thing I can do is give my life as a living sacrifice. We need to fulfill the vows we make to the Lord. You made a promise to the Lord, keep it. Why? Because he expects us to keep it, as it talks about in Ecclesiastes. If you made a marriage promise between you and your spouse and the Lord, keep your marriage vows, because you promised the Lord. Let's fulfill the promises that we have made to the Lord. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you tomorrow.